Breaking news as New Japan Pro Wrestling confirmed that legendary star Kazuchika Okada is set to leave the company at the end of the month. Is there interest from WWE and AEW? And what does this mean for the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling as well? We'll let you know about that. Plus, we got the ratings for this week's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS and the latest when it comes to Seth Rollins' possible injury he suffered on Raw, with Rollins being removed from this weekend's live events. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And we did say that 2024 was going to be a big year when it comes to free agency. And it's already begun, particularly when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling stars. And one of the most iconic names in New Japan Pro Wrestling history, that is Kazuchika Okada, is set to leave the company. A statement was released late last night by both New Japan Pro Wrestling and Okada, confirming that the Rainmaker is indeed about to hit free agency. Last month, of course, reports indicated that the New Japan contract of former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada was set to expire at the end of January. With this expiration fastly approaching, New Japan Pro Wrestling have now confirmed that Okada will be departing from the promotion upon the conclusion of his deal on January 31st. Now, in the wake of this announcement, New Japan has also provided Okada's official statement about his upcoming exit from New Japan Pro Wrestling. We've actually got the statement from both New Japan and Okada. We can get it up on the screen right now. It says, quote, "Thank you for supporting New Japan Pro Wrestling. Kazuchika Okada will be leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling after the conclusion of his contract on January 31st, 2024. We apologize to fans for the abrupt nature of this announcement, but join them in wishing Okada the very best in his future. As the New Beginning series begins this weekend, Okada will appear on February dates on February 11 in Osaka and February 23rd and 24 in Sapporo. Changes will be made to forthcoming cards with an announcement to follow. We'll talk about that announcement in just a second. We appreciate your understanding and continued support." This is the statement from the Rainmaker himself. He said, quote, "I have nothing but gratitude for having been a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling since 2007 and for New Japan bringing me from a 19-year-old kid off the plane in Mexico to the Rainmaker I am today. Thank you to the best of companies in New Japan Pro Wrestling, to the best of opponents that I've been able to face here, and to the best of fans that have cheered and booed over the years. I promise to make it rain in every match I have left, so keep watching." Now, what is quite interesting, actually, when you start to piece these things kind of together, is a tweet that came from AEW President Tony Khan yesterday, kind of randomly and out of the blue. This was prior to the AEW Dynamite ratings coming out. He tweeted out the following, saying, quote, "It's going to be an amazing 2024 at AEW." Then later on, several hours later, he said, tweeted out a GIF that said, "My name is my name." Now, some are suggesting this could be a possible, I guess, relation to this Okada departure announcement from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Of course, Tony Khan has already signed one big name from New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's Will Ospreay. He's set to officially become All Elite later this year. He's already signed his contract, and that was with blessing from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it could be a similar situation when it comes to Kazuchika Okada. Now, despite his impending entry, as I mentioned, into the free agency market, Okada is still scheduled to compete at some New Japan Pro Wrestling shows next month. His most recent New Japan match took place at Battle in the Valley on January 13, where he defeated another IWGP heavyweight champion, a former one, in Will Ospreay. Of course, Okada then made his way to Las Vegas for the TNA Snake Eyes tapings that he competed at over the weekend. Now, what about this future when it comes to Okada? What is next for the Rainmaker? Now, this is really, really interesting. As I mentioned, New Japan Pro Wrestling announced that the legendary performer will be finishing up with New Japan Pro Wrestling on January 31st when his contract is up. It will end a historic run that includes 7 world championships. He's actually still the never openweight 6-man tag team champion, along with Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Hold that thought because that may change in the future. Now, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fight for Select, New Japan sources had heard very recently that Okada and New Japan officials had a meeting to discuss their future together, and by the end of the conversation it was clear that Okada was set to finish up. The announcement still surprised several people that Fightful spoke to, as they expected it next week. However, Fightful have been told that the departure is an amicable one and the door likely will always be open and remain open for Okada, and there doesn't appear to be any ill will. New Japan sources that Fightful spoke to said they knew that was a reality that they'd be facing and were confident in their ability to cultivate and create new talent both in Japan and in the United States. Now, what about his future? Well, of course, it has been reported there is significant interest from AEW, and there will likely be interest from WWE as well. Earlier this month, AEW had been very hopeful that they'd land Okada, and ideas had been tossed around based on what Fightful have heard. It's far too early to determine where he'll actually land. WWE sources that Fightful have spoke to say they have not yet heard of any talks involving the two sides, but expected that to, at the very least, be explored. The last that Fightful had heard from the WWE end of things was that they weren't sure if he would want to make the move over. It'd be a significant move and most likely would have to relocate to the United States, whereas a bit like Will Ospreay, of course, is signed with AEW and will appear regularly on AEW programming. He doesn't have to relocate. He's set to stay residing in the United Kingdom, and it could be a similar situation for Okada, who could be set to stay in Japan but work exclusively for AEW, which again could make it more attractive proposal for him. Now, what about TNA Wrestling? Of course, TNA Wrestling has emerged in 2024 since they've rebranded from Impact Wrestling. They've already made big signings in the likes of former WWE superstar Dolph Ziggler, now going by his real name of Nick Nemeth. And of course, Okada also mended fences with TNA this past weekend. And Fightful have been told that experience appeared to be a positive one by many in the company. Fightful have also been told that while AEW was definitely interested, things are far too early to tell. Now, for those wondering when it comes to could we see the Rainmaker at the Royal Rumble later on this month, well, technically he would still be under contract to New Japan Pro Wrestling, so he wouldn't be able to appear at the event unless he gained permission from New Japan Pro Wrestling, which isn't out of the realm of reality, of course. There are different operations in both companies now. It's Triple H, it's Nick Khan heading up WWE under the TKO banner, and when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, of course, we have Hiroshi Tanahashi as the new president, so anything could certainly happen, to say the least. Now, it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise that Okada is looking to depart, or is going to depart, New Japan Pro Wrestling. As I mentioned, there were reports that he was set to explore free agency, and just last week, it had been reported that Kazuchika Okada was taking ownership of his Rainmaker nickname, filing a trademark for the term. It was reported last week by Fightful Select that Okada filed to trademark the application for his nickname, the Rainmaker, and finish it on January 12, amid reports that his contract was coming up. This was an indication, certainly, with him trademarking that term in the United States, that he was looking to wrestle more frequently in the US, which many saw as an indication he was set to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling and possibly head to either AEW, WWE, or TNA Wrestling. Now, we spoke about his final matches as well. This has now been confirmed by New Japan Pro Wrestling too. They released the following statement by saying, quote, "In the wake of the announcement earlier today that Kazuchika Okada will be leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling at the conclusion of his contract on January 31st, with his final appearances scheduled for February 11 in Osaka and 23 and 24 in Sapporo, changes have been made to the New Beginning Series cards. January 24, we'll see Okada in his last New Japan match in Korakuen Hall. The Never Openweight six-man tag team championship match, previously scheduled for New Beginning in Osaka, will take place. Okada teaming with Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroshi Tanahashi to face TMDK Shane Haste, Mikey Nichols, and Kosei Fujita. The TMDK side and the impetuous Kazuki Fujita in particular will not be looking to let a symbol of New Japan for the last decade leave with a title in his grasp, so the suggestion is that possibly that's going to be the match that Okada drops those championships. But his final match will actually take place against his tag team partner that day, that being the New Japan Pro Wrestling president, Hiroshi Tanahashi, because February 11 will see the New Beginning in Osaka, a special singles matchup for Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi. New Beginning in the Ideon Arena in 2012 was the start of it all for the Rainmaker and the Ace. 12 years on, they face off one last time on a night that will be full of emotion promotion. Okada will be making his final New Japan Pro Wrestling appearances in Sapporo on February 23rd and 24th. More details will be released at a later date. So that's certainly what Okada is going to be doing in his final couple of appearances for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So what are your thoughts on all of this? Where do you expect Kazuchika Okada to land? Do you think he's going to go to WWE? Do you think he's going to go to AEW? Do you think he's going to go to TNA? Of course, it had been reported that Okada's appearances with AEW late last year were in particular for him to get a grip of the company and see what the company could potentially look like if he was to be there more permanently. Do you think he could go to WWE? Of course, it has been reported that Triple H is actively trying to change the perception of what Japanese pro wrestlers might feel the way they'll be treated in WWE, with the likes of booking Shinsuke Nakamura strong, booking Io Sky strong, bringing back Kairi Sane and others. So what's your thought about this? Let me know your reaction. Let me know your prediction to all of it in the comment section below. Now, let's talk about AEW Dynamite because the ratings are in for Wednesday's episode on TBS, and it's pretty good news when it comes to Tony Khan's promotion. Viewership for the January 17 episode of AEW Dynamite ticked upwards with 3 championship matches advertised. According to WrestleNomics, this week's edition of Dynamite garnered an average of 891,000 viewers on TBS, which is up 12% from last week's 797,000. Meanwhile, the show was viewed by 435,000 in the coveted 18 to 49 range, resulting in a 0.33 18 to 49 rating, which is a 14% increase from last week's 0.29 rating. It's also worth noting that this is the highest viewership since October 18, 2023. It's also the highest 18 to 49 rating since the Grand Slam edition of Dynamite on September 20. So certainly a return to sort of the form that they were having in the fall of last year. Now, when it comes to the quarter-hour ratings, this comes, of course, courtesy from WrestleNomics. Big up to them. The January 17 Dynamite had the full card advertised ahead of time, which kicked off with Christian Cage defending his TNT Championship against Dustin Rhodes. Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta scored a tag team win before Roderick Strong laid out a title challenge for Revolution. Bullet Club Gold lived up to their name when they defeated the Mogul Embassy to capture the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles. Deonna Purrazzo defeated Anna Jay, while Private Party defeated Top Flight. And in the main event, Samoa Joe defended the AEW World Championship against Hook. Other segments included the Young Bucks in a sit-down interview, Swerve Strickland speaking to Renee Paquette, plus obviously Jay Briscoe and his family being recognized 1 year after his tragic passing as well. So what are your thoughts when it comes to the ratings for this week's episode of AEW Dynamite? Of course, it's been close to a full year since AEW Dynamite has reached over 1 million viewers. As you can see, as always, the lead-in was pretty strong, and then the show gradually decreased from there, only really kicking up when it came to the main event. So what are your thoughts about this? What trends do you see there? Let me know your reaction to it. And do you think that Dynamite can get back above million viewers this year? Or is this just the range once again of around sort of 800 to 700,000? Let me know your reaction to that as well. Finally, a bit of an update when it comes to Seth Rollins. Of course, a lot of concern over the WWE World Heavyweight Champion after seemingly suffering an injury this past Monday during his world title defense against Jinder Mahal on Raw. Following this week's episode of Raw, news emerged that World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins had seemingly sustained some sort of leg injury during his main event title defense against Jinder Mahal. While the severity of Rollins' injury is still unknown, a new report has provided an update on Rollins' upcoming availability, which maybe gives a bit of an insight as to the severity of this problem. According to PW Insider, Rollins has been removed from the lineup from this weekend's WWE Live events, which will emanate from the Garrett Coliseum in Montgomery, Alabama, and the Mississippi Coliseum in Jackson, Mississippi. As a result, Randy Orton is now being advertised as his substitute after Rollins was seen limping during his untelevised post-match promo on Monday. He was escorted to the back by WWE officials. Subsequent reports indicated that Rollins was expected to undergo testing, specifically an MRI, to determine the extent of the injury on his left leg. It was also reported that WWE would know more when it came to sort of around Wednesday, Thursday. Of course, today is Friday, so we might find out more details today or over the weekend, or we may just have to wait until Raw next week when Rollins might reveal the severity of the injury. Of course, news of Rollins' injury comes less than 2 weeks before WWE's 2024 Royal Rumble event, which will take place at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida on January 27. as of Monday, Rollins was not scheduled to defend his title at the Royal Rumble. His live event replacement, Randy Orton, however, is set to challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship in a four-way match, also featuring AJ Styles and LA Knight at the respective premium live events. So if we get any more details on Seth Rollins and the injury, of course, we'll let you know. But there you go, guys. That's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.